This week on FRC Media News, the final graduation ceremony at Bishop Connolly High School takes place next week. The second annual Lumen Christi Gala will raise funds to repair St. Mary's Cathedral, and we preview this weekend's Memorial Day activities in Fall River. All this and more coming up. It's Thursday, May 25th, 2023. This is FRC Media News. I'm Keith Tebow. It'll be an evening of celebration and some sadness as Bishop Connolly High School prepares for its 54th and final graduation exercises next Wednesday evening. This will be the final graduation ceremony following the announcement earlier this year that the school will close when classes end in June.
Well, it's certainly a bittersweet time here in our community, but we really want the focus and the attention to be on the graduates. So for the class of 23, it will be a normal graduation ceremony, really honoring them. Obviously, everyone knows this is the last graduating class, and even though, that won't be the focus of the graduation, we certainly will focus on the legacy and the fact that that will live on in everyone. There certainly will be a bittersweet feeling because we know it is the last graduation.
When Senior and Student Body President Brandon DeFaria addresses the 37 graduates receiving diplomas, his focus will be on the community that exists at Bishop Connolly.
We went through a lot together from freshman year all the way to senior year, especially when we found out the school was closing. We really did come together to kind of make an even stronger family. And that, it wasn't even just with us, it was the entire student body. Even faculty, staff, administration, we all came together as one, and we stayed by each other, lifted each other up. So I'm really going to focus on how even though that we lost a lot, we still won a lot because we have each other and we have the future to look forward to. It's not the physical place that we remember, here, right here, or the fields, classrooms, anything like that. It's not those aren't the details we remember. It's the actual core memories that we created. Mr. DeFaria says the shock of the closure announcement hit all students hard. When I found out, I didn't really believe it. I thought it was something that like a prank or something, but after once it was an actual thing from the diocese and we saw the actual letter and online itself, it definitely hurt. I would say that there was definitely a lot of people, a lot of my friends who were underclassmen, definitely you could tell that it was hurting them a lot. And instead of just caring about myself or anything like that, I had to be there to console them, to help them as best as I could. I mean, for me, I was able to luck out, but something that really hurts is that not everyone else can, and I definitely feel a lot of sadness for the rest of my underclassmen friends. Instead of focusing on worrying about oh, what's going to be now, focusing on all right, now the school's going to close or anything like that, it was just enjoy it while it lasts and enjoy every single moment that I could.
Ms. St. Lawrence says the school community remains focused on completing the school year, with teachers already set to move to other opportunities.
We have a wonderful community, and outstanding staff, and of course, the news was it was very sad, and it was very difficult for all of us. But the staff, students, families, everyone's come together and really made it the best possible end of year it could be. Learning has continued all the way through, and I would really say that the mood and the atmosphere has been one of community over the past 2 months. The majority of our teachers have secured employment, many in other districts, a couple in the diocese still. They're wonderfully talented staff, and they were really scooped up pretty quickly by other schools.
Students at the school who will need to find another option to finish their high school education beginning this fall have also been helped with exploring their options.
As soon as the news, was made final about the school, both of our close-by sister schools, Bishop Stang and Bishop Fan, reached out, and we've had conversations where they made the admissions process very seamless and easy for the students. So the majority of our remaining students will be going to Bishop Stang. We've worked with the team at Bishop Stang so that the transition for them could be as seamless as possible. For our diocesan high schools, for the core courses, we basically all share the requirements and the core courses. For other things, there are electives that some schools have and others don't. But Bishop Stang and Bishop Fan have worked with us to determine, what those are and to try to make that transition as easy as possible for the students.
The final day of classes at Bishop Connolly will be Friday, June 9th, and the school will hold a special field day for students to celebrate their successes and look back at their high school careers. Plans are also in the works for one last community event to be held at the school before it closes its doors for good.
We want an opportunity for alumni, past teachers, anyone who's had affiliation with Bishop Connolly to really be able to come back and close it out in the right way. So we're having a massive Thanksgiving, and that Mass will be here at Bishop Connolly in our auditorium on June 15th at 6 p.m. Father Riley Williams, who is our chaplain, will be celebrating the Mass. At the present time, we have about 500 people who are planning on attending. We'll have some light refreshments after the Mass, and then everyone who's here can have a chance to walk through the halls, reminisce, really be able to be at Bishop Connolly one last time.
Mr. DeFaria says the sadness felt by the Bishop Connolly community around its closure will be temporary.
You feel like an emotion of happiness, like this too shall pass. You feel anger, sadness, this too shall pass. Even in the highs and lows of life, those emotions will pass. So even though right now it's a tough time and that we've lost a lot, this feeling will pass and there's more to come that we can definitely look forward to.
The graduation exercises at Bishop Connolly begin at 5 p.m. next Wednesday evening. The Diocese of Fall River and its fundraising arm, the Catholic Foundation, will hold its second annual gala in support of the restoration of the Cathedral of St. Mary of the Assumption in Fall River on June 7th.
We're calling it Lumen Christi, which means light of Christ, and it's really we're shining the light on this beautiful cathedral. And so the event itself is helping us to raise some initial funds, but we're hoping that it will also start to inspire folks to make significant gifts. Last year we raised about $220,000 at the event, and we had over 250 attendees at Whites of Westport to celebrate that evening. This year, we're really excited. The event is slated for Wednesday, June 7th, also at Whites of Westport. They've been wonderful partners to the Diocese of Fall River. At the moment, we have raised $125,000, but we have several weeks to go, and we're really anticipating a full house at Whites once again this year.
Renovating the mid-19th century cathedral will take many years to complete and cost millions of dollars. But some work has begun. The entire structure was scanned to provide accurate floor plans of the building, and initial renovations are focusing on the outside of the structure.
One of the things we wanted to do was focus on the critical conditions at the cathedral now, one of which was the missing slates at just above the front doors at the very ridge of the cathedral. There was about 6 slates that were missing. The boards of the roof were exposed, so we hired a crane. We went up and did that. We also did sampling of the shingles, because one of the things we need to establish is the condition of the fasteners themselves to determine what would be the future of the slates. Do we need to replace it? Or if they're copper nails, they'll be sufficient to hold them in place for many, many more years. We opened an access on Spring Street just behind me to bring in a man lift to start to take apart the lancet window that was in very critical shape. Part of the center membrane members of wood was deteriorated to the point that the window had started to sag. So all of the stained glass needed to be removed. The frame itself needed to be removed. We're matching those frames with special shapers to recreate the profiles and to restore the window frame. So those windows have been sent out, and it's going to be about 6 months before that stained glass restoration can take place and be completed.
The effort to raise funds for the cathedral are being driven by a group of community volunteers. Local business and community leader Carl Saweko says the cathedral is the spiritual and physical hub of the diocese and must be preserved.
We can't have a diocese unless we have a mother church. And this is our mother church. This great cathedral represents our communities as a whole. It represents our faith as a whole, and it represents the place where each and every parish and each and every community can come together to proclaim and celebrate our faith, to talk about the future and what things are most important to us, and to build families. I think having our 8th graders come here from throughout the diocese, to have the bishop speak to them and have a mass with them, speaks so highly of the importance of this great basilica. And as you can see, and I'm sure that many people know, it needs so much work. And any building of this age and of this construction requires work. But if you need to build faith, you also need to build the cathedral to have that faith, to have that community.
Mr. Saweko says the approach to renovating the cathedral goes hand in hand with efforts to renovate any historic building.
These are the pieces of history that show us what built our faith, that show us from where we come. So like this cathedral, like many other buildings throughout our cities and our towns, I know in Swansea where I reside, we have a beautiful town hall, which is like a little tiny basilica. But these buildings now have reached the 100-year mark and well beyond for some of them. They need a lot of work. So it's our commitment in preserving history to be able to step forward and do what we can. Everyone can do something. You don't have to, be nice to have all the multimillionaires come forward, but you know what? Every little bit counts.
Ms. Sherman says events to raise funds for the cathedral will not be limited to the annual gala.
We have talked about having some special, maybe smaller gatherings here at the cathedral in the Bishop's Chapel, which is one of the smaller chapels here, an event to include Bishop as well as some donors and maybe some folks who could be interested in making a donation, whether that's corporate folks or foundation folks. But certainly that's something that we would consider. You know, we've also been trying to inspire folks to consider leaving the diocese and even the cathedral as a planned gift. An opportunity for someone who's making their will and thinking about the future, and to be able to leave a legacy and support the cathedral in that way.
Tickets for the gala are still available at CatholicFoundationSEMA.org. The unemployment rate in Fall River dropped sharply in April. The jobless rate fell nearly 3 points to 4.6%, down from 7.4% in March. The unemployment rate a year ago in April was 6%. Unemployment rates dropped in the suburbs in Fall River and across other gateway cities. The state's unemployment rate in April fell 0.2 of a point to 3.3%. The Fall River City Council will soon vote on whether the school committee should receive a pay increase, as well as lifting the restriction on the mayor, council, and school committee receiving annual cost of living increases. At a meeting of the council's Committee on Ordinances and Legislation, the panel voted to recommend to the council that the school committee pay match that of the city council, which is currently just under $16,100 a year. School committee members have been receiving just under $8,000 a year since 2002. The committee also recommends the council rescind the restriction of elected leaders receiving a yearly cost of living increase. That practice was eliminated in 2009. Committee Chair Councilor Sean Kadim says he supports approving the two measures.
The school committee should be on par with the city council. I just had this conversation and I know the mayor disagrees with me. However, the logic behind the increase from my standpoint is, number one, the school committee is an executive level branch. They have more authority and jurisdiction than the legislative branches, which we are. We only do appropriations. School committee hires the superintendent and several other positions, not all positions in the school department, but several positions on the school side. They deal with all negotiations. City council doesn't deal with any negotiations. They handle disciplinary grievances for union contracts. City council does none of that. Again, we set ordinances, so law and appropriation. That's essentially what we do. So the school committee on the other side handles a lot more responsibility.
If approved by a 2/3 vote of the council, the measures would take effect in January, when a newly elected mayor, city council, and school committee will be inaugurated. Fall River's new Director of Veteran Services is putting the final touches on her first Memorial Day weekend celebration. Michelle Hamilton was appointed by Mayor Paul Coogan earlier this year to serve as the liaison to city veterans. An Army veteran herself, Ms. Hamilton comes to the position with private business experience and as the head of a local organization open to both military and civilian individuals with a mission to advocate for POW MIA issues and to assist veterans.
I think that I have had a lot of decision-making roles and a lot of management experience. I did own my own business for a while too, quite a little while. So you end up doing everything from soup to nuts as that person. So that gave me a lot of experience. I've also been the president of Rolling Thunder chapter, and that 8 years worth of volunteer presidency teaches you a lot too. So I think I've come at it from a bunch of different angles, but I've always been on the outskirts of this Fall River community through Rolling Thunder. So, and Rolling Thunder introduced me to the War Veterans Council. We became members of the War Veterans Council, and then this job came up.
Ms. Hamilton says her job is rewarding by connecting veterans with the support they need.
We do Chapter 115, which is financial assistance for veterans. We also work with the Veterans Administration on VA benefits. We do charitable works too, and events and a lot of leadership stuff. When a veteran doesn't have enough food, something is wrong, you know. So through the city, there's a lot of programs. The Veterans Kitchen serves meals, and now they have, with the War Veterans Council, a further program where they also have food that veterans can take home. Pine Street Inn has food for veterans on a monthly basis through the Bristol County Veterans Association. So there's a lot of things available, and there's a lot more charitable institutions in the city that help veterans, but yeah, nobody should do without. And there are a lot of young families in need and a lot of older people on fixed incomes in need.
Once again, the city is hosting many events this Memorial Day weekend. The annual parade, which has traditionally been held on Monday, will kick off one day earlier, beginning at 1:30 p.m. from Kennedy Park.
The decision was made with the War Council and the city to move the parade to Sunday. I think there were multiple reasons for it. One of the reasons was Rolling Thunder's going to come into town, so all 9 chapters of Rolling Thunder New England, working with the War Veterans Council and the city, and those chapters go home Sunday night or Monday morning to do things in their own cities and towns, so they couldn't participate in the parade if it wasn't on Sunday. So the bikes will lead off the parade, leaving Kennedy Park, heading straight down Main Street to Battleship Cove, where there's going to be a short ceremony and then a lot of fun activities for the families. We're going to have hamburgers and hot dogs available for everybody. They've got some games. The Battleship now actually has a couple of Huey helicopters that they've refurbished. That opens on Friday. No, that opens on Saturday for the public. So it's going to be a lot of stuff going on down in that area.
Another highlight of the weekend will take place Saturday evening, a candlelight vigil at War Veterans Park in support of Gold Star families who lost loved ones in the line of duty.
The park opens up right around 7 o'clock. The candlelight vigil itself will start on Saturday at 7:45, and it's about respecting those families. That's the most important thing of Saturday night, is that we make sure that those families know that we're never going to forget the loss that they've had, and also the missing in action. You know, we have some MIA families coming down there who have no resolution at all. So, you know, we're going to take care of those folks and make sure that we're respectful.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some job descriptions and latest hot jobs list from the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center. Weekend Nursing Supervisor, Cavallo Grove Health and Rehab Center, located at 273 Oak Grove Avenue, is looking for a part-time weekend nursing supervisor to supervise and help manage staff during each weekend shift. Job number 190-72751. Inventory Control Associate, Blount Fine Foods, located at 630 Current Road, is seeking a full-time Inventory Control Associate, responsible for inventory accuracy within each department. Job number 190-72048. Social Work Technician, The Department of Child and Family Services, located at 1822 North Main Street, is looking for a full-time social work technician to work collaboratively with DCF social workers, supervisors, and managers to support various action planning tasks to reinforce casework direction. Job number 190-72055. General Manager, Jersey Mike's, located at 450 William S. Canning Boulevard, is looking for full-time general manager. For more information, call 508-300-9090. Fastenal Company, located at 565 Commerce Drive, has an immediate need for the following full and part-time positions. Customer Site Warehouse Support Associate. Job number 190-68699. Warehouse Associate. Job number 190-68702. For more information about these and other positions, visit Mass Hire JobQuest at jobquest.dcs.eol.mass.gov or call the Mass Hire Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
Welcome back. Fall River this week experienced what can be best described from the cartoon as dealing with, quote, smarter than the average bear, unquote. There were sightings of a black bear in the north end of Fall River. The bear had made its way from Taunton and Dighton south to the city and then east to Dartmouth. Should you see the bear, do not attempt to approach it. Please contact the Massachusetts Environmental Police at 800-632-8075, or if you feel it's an emergency, call 911. And finally this week, despite the rain on Saturday, graduates proudly walked across the stage at the 56th Annual Bristol Community College commencement exercises. Here's a recap.
We know that our graduates are unstoppable. Your possibilities are endless. Your goals are achievable. Your potential is limitless. Your confidence is boundless. The education that you have received from Bristol Community College gives you the power to be unstoppable. Who here feels like they are unstoppable? Raise your hands.
We will wrap up this edition of FRC Media News right after this.
Hi, welcome to Hot Dogs and Cool Cats. Today we have Lavender. Lavender, as you can tell, she absolutely loves people and loves the attention. She is a 4-year-old Shih Tzu. She's got a short cut right now. Lavender would do good in an average energy home. We are looking for a home that has just adults in it. People that can give her enough attention, enough exercise for an average energy kind of dog. It's also not total couch potato. She's not going to lay on the couch all day. She's going to be up and about, and she's going to follow you around, be curious what you're doing, saying hi. One downside with her, we have noticed during our behavioral evaluation, she's very possessive of her food and her treats, which is part of the reason why we want her to go to a home that just has adults, ideally that does not have other dogs, cats, that kind of stuff. So if you'd like to meet Lavender, you can come down to 300 Linwood Street in Fall River, Massachusetts, at Forever Paws Animal Shelter. Today we are showing you kittens. It is the kitten season, so we are going to have plenty of them. I usually suggest to people that you get your applications in for them sooner rather than later. Kittens and puppies go out the door very quickly. People absolutely love them. We get lots and lots of interest. So if you'd like to be sort of ahead of the game, I would suggest that you fill out an application and be on our kitten wish list sooner rather than later. Go to our website, foreverpaws.com. Just click the little big old adopt button that's there, and you can see all of our different adoption forms. Fill out an application now, and we'll get you in here. You can see some of these guys. You can pick a new furry friend.
That's all for this edition of FRC Media News. Please visit our website at frmedia.org for all the latest news and local information. FRC Media News airs Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Fridays at 5:30 p.m. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Enjoy the Memorial Day weekend. We'll see you next Thursday.